Good afternoon, Professor Hamdi.
Hi, good afternoon.
We're just waiting for Professor Andreas to join, and then we'll start.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, Andreas, thank you very much.
Okay. Hi, Professor Hamdi. Hi, hello. Hi, Hossam. Sorry, I'm a little bit late because I had some issues with my Zoom connection, but now I'm there.
Excellent. No, I think the picture and your voice is very clear.
Amazing. Very good.
Professor Moon, they're not connected. Are they connected? They are muted. Dr. Moon, you are,
Yeah.
you are, Dr. Moon, you are, yeah, now you are unmuted. You are muted.
Okay. So we gathered here for a purpose. College of Healthcare Management and Economics, the Gulf Medical University introduced IConnenct talk series, which will focus on bringing together academia and the corporate world to the classroom. The talk series is one of a kind event at College of Healthcare Management and Economics, where great academic and industry minds who have reached the pinnacle of their careers will share their experience with the COHME student community. These talks will be thought-provoking, give insights to the varied facets of corporate and academic life, and give much required inspiration to instill a sense of positivity among the student community. The inaugural talk of the series would be given by Professor Andreas Zehetner on the topic marketing in medical business. Professor Zehetner is the Vice President of Internal Affairs and is a Professor of Marketing at the University of Applied Science, Upper Australia. He has more than 3 decades of teaching experience, teaching subjects like business-to-business marketing, marketing strategy, marketing research, cross-cultural marketing, and global business. Now, given that with the tons of experience, I think no one can better than Professor Andreas to start this inaugural talk series. And I'm sure that we are going to have many more people from industry and academia will enlighten our students. I welcome Professor Andreas for this inaugural talk series. Thank you. Yeah, Professor Hamdi, want to say something for the series?
Yes. First, I'm very pleased and honored to have Professor Andreas Zehetner with us today as the first speaker, first representative of the University of Applied Science, Upper Austria, one of the leading universities in Europe, and with specific focus on technology and applied sciences in different domains. Let me tell you a small story. I've met Andreas online. We were together, member of an association of Asian universities, and Professor Andreas was commenting on something. And I don't know, I felt that this man is a great man. And he didn't know me personally. And I've communicated with Andreas, asked him, can you have a chat on Zoom? And then we had a wonderful discussion, and gradually we found that many areas at the personal level and at university level, which we can build on it in our relation. Although they don't have a medical school like what we have, but practically many of the things which we are doing they are involved in it. For example, I discovered the area of drug discovery, and they have Professor Tobias, and he's working in the area of phytogenic drug research. So the Dean of Pharmacy is also listening now to the presentation of Andreas. We will have next week a senior professor from University of Technology Upper Austria. He will be coming and visiting us here. So we are building this relation between the two universities, finding areas of possible collaboration and mutual benefits for our students, our researchers, and our faculty. My role and Andreas' role also as responsible for international communication affairs is how to help to make this functioning and build on it. And definitely, as his specialization as professor of marketing, it was obvious that the College of Healthcare Management and Health Economics will be a good starting point to start making this link. And we'll build on that. Maybe I will also talk about us and about medical education, but I welcome you, Professor Andreas Zehetner, and looking forward to meet in person soon, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Hamdi Hossan, for your kind words. I'm not a special person. I'm just somebody who is questioning something from time to time, and I guess this is something that we have in common. Questioning existing realities and trying to figure out what can be done a little bit better, perhaps. Yeah, so thank you very much for having me. Dear colleagues, may I start with my presentation, or
you can share your screen?
Okay, I will do.
Andreas, do you like to say a few words? Because there are many people. You have this group who are sitting in this classroom, but I think there are many. These are mainly undergraduate students, I think, but there are many others who are on the executive master. They are listening and following and linking to that. And there are many faculty who are also listening to you. So maybe a few words about the university, and then you can delve into your presentation.
Yes, I will do that. I will do that, certainly.
And one additional point, the talk is live streamed in YouTube. So there are lots of people who will be watching in YouTube as well.
Yeah, very nice. That's cool. So if you allow me to share my screen, please give me a sign that it works.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, again, thank you very much. And I'm super happy that we have, due to the crisis that we had a couple of years ago, that we have developed technologies rapidly that allow the world to shrink. Still, I'm convinced that it is better to meet in person. And Hossam, I just had a talk with my president, and most likely we will be able to visit your distinguished institution beginning of October this year. I have informed him about our starting relationship, so I will be very happy to meet. And until then, I'm super happy to be with you, at least virtually. My idea is to briefly give you an overview about my institution, what we are doing in teaching and in research, and then we immediately dive into the topic, which is connecting marketing, or especially business-to-business marketing, to the medical business, to the medical products and services. I'm very curious already about your questions then. maybe you give me the time for 2.5 minutes to show you a little video about our institution, just to have an impression of where we are and what we are doing and how we are doing what we are doing. So I'm starting this YouTube video now.
University of Applied Sciences, Upper Austria.
Teaching and learning with pleasure, researching inquisitively.
Founded in 1994, the University of Applied Sciences, Upper Austria is one of the leading universities of its kind. With more than 6,000 students in 70 internationally recognized degree programs, 450 academics in research and teaching, and students from 60 different countries, it's an important player in university education in Austria. Cooperations with 250 partner universities worldwide and more than 1,000 industry partners provide a vast amount of opportunities in international education and research.
All 4 schools, the School of Medical Engineering and Applied Social Sciences in Linz,
The School of Informatics, Communications and Media in Hagenberg,
the School of Engineering in Wels,
and the School of Management in Steyr
feature a very modern infrastructure with state-of-the-art laboratories, lecture halls, and equipment to provide a stimulating environment for students. In addition to receiving high-quality education, our graduates benefit from top job prospects and a seamless transition into meaningful careers.
But it's not all work and no play. Our sports club offers students, graduates, and employees a wide range of sports activities to choose from. And our students know how to party. Entertaining events such as the Crazy Boat Race Boatmania or the Solar Car Challenge are just a few examples of the playful culture to be found at our 4 campuses.
What makes Upper Austria special? The province of Upper Austria is located in the heart of Austria and in the center of Europe. It's a strong economic region which provides a number of advantages. More than 25% of Austria's exports come from this region, and many internationally recognized companies such as First Alpine, BMW, KTM, Rosenbauer, and Rotax have operations here, with our graduates serving as valuable employees. This creates excellent job opportunities, resulting in a 99% employment rate for our graduates in their desired professions. And it's a safe place to live, providing one of the highest standards of living in Europe.
Upper Austria is truly beautiful, with a wide range of leisure activities and absolutely filled with culture. Springboard University of Applied Sciences, Upper Austria. The quality of our education is mirrored by the success of our graduates. Some have become the CEOs of branch offices of globally operating companies such as Google, and others have founded their own startups that have developed into well-known players in their respective industries. Our motto, make it real, sums it up best.
Make the University of Applied Sciences, Upper Austria, part of your reality. Join us in developing knowledge, skills, and dreams for a better tomorrow.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so dear colleagues, that's our institution. I'm very happy to welcome you all as soon as you are in the area. As I showed you, we have 4 schools, and all of these schools are internationally connected and also interdisciplinary connected. What do I mean with that? At our School of Informatics, Communications and Media in Hagenberg, we deal a lot with medical issues, biomedical informatics, biomedical technologies, and those interfere with our campus in Linz, where we have the medical engineering school. So they borrow knowledge and technologies from each other. The same, and that might be very interesting for your school of medical economics and healthcare economics. Also, our business school in Steyr is very much connected to the campus in Linz, to the medical campus, because they provide the processes, applications, the business model, and the business intelligence for medical technical companies, for hospitals and others. I will come to that back later. And at our School of Engineering in Wels, material sciences play a big role, and also those materials and material developments are infused into our medical school when it comes to producing materials for prosthetics, for instance, or for surgery training. So our schools are interdisciplinary connected, and that's, I would say, one of our assets. I want to mention two programs that could be interesting for you students and your further career. We have at our business school one program in global sales and marketing. This is the program that I'm also teaching in. And in that program, also medical technology plays a role. Why? Because in the area of Upper Austria, many medical technology companies are located, and they require profoundly educated and talented and skilled sales staff. We will talk about this connection of sales, marketing, and the medical business today later. And the other program, Professor Hamdi knows already, is our graduate program in medical engineering, a 4 semesters English taught program in medical technology and medical engineering, with a smooth connection between the people who have the demand, which are the hospitals, for instance, but which are also the patients, and the medtech companies that produce the products and services that are required in health technology. So there is a seamless transition between the development, the production, and also the marketing and selling of medical technical products to the ones who need it. And this is also what I will be talking about today. In research, we have 6 main areas ranging from logistics, energy, automotive mobility, smart production, food technology, to medical engineering. So medical engineering research is one of our main centers of excellence, where we are helping to drive progress in this field. Why is this the case? Austria, as a small country right in the middle of Europe, has been established over the last couple of years as a top center for the life sciences. In the area that my university is located, we have around 1,000 companies from the biotech, pharmaceutical, and medtech sectors. And there are many big names which you might know, like Boehringer Ingelheim, Novartis, Otto Bock. They have their premises here, they have the research centers in my area, and they have a high degree of networks between the manufacturers, the customers, and the service providers in healthcare. The main areas that we are dealing here in research include cancer research, gene therapy research, and of course also medical products research and development. In Austria, the life science sector contributes with approximately 7% to the GDP. Nationally, there are more than 60,000 highly qualified jobs in this area. 24,000 researchers are working in the field of life sciences and medical technology. And currently we have around 77,000 life sciences students in our universities, universities of applied sciences, and our 25 non-university research institutions. So that's a big market with big opportunities. Currently, I can tell you, we are in a great shortage of skilled and talented labor force in the life sciences, in the health and in the healthcare sector. So for graduates, this place is a splendid opportunity. Let's move now a little bit into our subject. I'm a marketing person, and the main marketing question that a marketing person should ask him or herself is, who are my customers? And the customers in this topic that we are talking about now, medical business, are, of course, ultimately the patients. However, few of them are paying for the services, because most of the services and the cost is covered by insurance. Another group of customers are all those people in the society that are in a need to change their health behavior. Also, we have governmental stakeholders who are important to us because they give us the funding, they drive the pace of medical engineering, and ultimately, there are other businesses down the value chain to whom we can sell our medical products. Apologize for a moment, I have to plug in my computer. Just give me 1 second, please. So sorry, this should not happen, but I'm here again. So now, full power again, sorry. Yeah, we were talking about who are the customers. We have to understand our customers. And my hypothesis is that medical product customers are not very different from others in principle, because they have the choice. They can select their products, their services from multiple suppliers. They make decisions. So ultimately they collect information and they make a decision of whether to buy a product or service or not to buy. They evaluate their demand based on what they need and what they want. So that's not much different to other product categories and other customers. Most of them are not passive recipients of information. So they are actively searching for information. They are comparing pieces of information. They are trying to figure out whether information is contingent, trustworthy, and credible. And of course, they have different levels of knowledge. That means they have to be treated differently. They have to be picked up in that place of their customer journey where they are. So in essence, medical products customers are not very different from others. However, there are some significant differences that a marketing person should understand. With the final consumers, the patients, the people that need healthcare, we have a couple of issues that we have to have in mind as marketing people. Number one, the information and the products that we are handing over to them might be confusing. They might not be able to distinguish between different types of products because they have so many. They are complicated. They might not have the literacy or the understanding of the many details that we are giving them when we try to sell or to market our products to them. Sometimes, and as a marketing person, I can say this because I'm blaming myself and not others. Sometimes the communication that we are giving them is boring because we run into the details. We explain them everything very much in detail. You know, when you see communication about medical products, small printed letters, all very detailed, that can be boring. And if something is boring, people stop responding because they are not attentive anymore. And sometimes the communication that we are providing to customers is disconnected from the demand. So just look at healthcare advertising that is happening in TV. So they tell you tons of stories which currently do not meet the actual demand of a person. So these are marketing issues that are related to final consumers. There are also issues in marketing for our business-to-business customers. And the B2B customers are, for instance, the hospitals, are other medical technology companies, are the governments, or maybe some insurance organizations. What are those issues? Medical technology is highly regulated. That means that the legislators specify exactly the products that may be openly advertised, that may be brought to the customer, and that may not. We have simply to accept that. So the scope of our marketing activities is limited by regulation. Secondly, think about an X-ray. An X-ray device, a digital X-ray product, is highly complex. With increasing levels of complexity, the risk of making a wrong decision increases. People do not want to bear risk. So what are they doing? They are trying to share the risk. So what we have in technical marketing for medical health products, we have buying centers, we have groups of people in our customer side who together try to bear the risk. It's not one person alone who makes a decision. We have certifications. Certifications are important because they are required in order to be approved for treatment. To get a certification costs money and time, which prolongates our development cycles. And then we have data protection issues. So it is not so easy to sell a medical product to one company and then take this company as a reference and tell the world that we have sold this to that company and they are super happy. Maybe they do not want us to mention them. So we do not have this word of mouth chain that we have in some other maybe more consumer-oriented businesses. And lastly, the development cycles for new products in medicine technology are very long. That means that salespeople or marketing people with medtech products do not always have the latest products to market because they have to market what they have and not what they might get in a couple of years. So they have longer cycles. They sell their products not immediately. That takes time. It takes time to replace them. So it's a slower pace than we might expect in some consumer marketing settings. What are now effects of these issues and differences on marketing of business products? Just let's take this example of a new digital X-ray system. Organizational buying behavior has three elements. It has the buying process, which is the step-by-step process from the customer has no idea of the product until the customer has bought it, is happy with it, it has been delivered, and the customer maybe will rebuy it again later. The other dimension is what we call the buying situation. And that might be a routine buy. Yeah? So if you buy dairy products, if you buy some soft drink or whatever, you do not consider too much. If you buy a completely new product, like a car or a technical device, a phone maybe, or in B2B, an X-ray, you consider thoroughly, you compare alternatives, you take care of the financing, you take care of warranties, you consult experts. So we have a buying situation which is very complex in most cases. We can argue now that a hospital has experience in buying X-rays. So for them, buying another or a renewed X-ray device is not a very new situation because a couple of years earlier, they also bought an X-ray. That's right. But particularly with medical device products, the innovation is proceeding. The regulations, as I said before, are proceeding. There may be patient safety regulations are developing. So from one X-ray to the next X-ray a couple of years later, that might be a completely different product. So again, our customers are in a situation which is new for them. New situations always include worries, include the fear of making wrong decisions, include a higher amount of risk, which they again want to balance out. The third dimension of organizational buying behavior is what we call in marketing the so-called buying center. The buying center is the group of people within one company who together are responsible in purchasing a product. And these are people from different functions that have different roles, that have different expectations, that have different questions, that have different worries, that have different responsibilities. And in our marketing efforts to sell this X-ray, we have to be very careful in giving everyone on our customer side the information, the trust, and the feeling that they make the right decision. To make it a little bit clearer, if a hospital buys a new X-ray, 3 main groups are involved. The group number 1 that is involved are the medical doctors. These are the radiologists, mostly, when it comes to an X-ray. The radiologist is particularly interested in perfect, fine, and fast results. So he or she wants to see the results of an X-ray treatment very soon on his or her computer. He wants to zoom in, he wants to have a high resolution, and he wants to have a very good basis for his or her decision of the further treatment. So they are interested in speed and quality. We have also another group, the nurses and the operators of this X-ray. Those are the people who stand next to the X-ray together with the patient, who put the patient on the X-ray, who fix the system so that it can make very good X-ray pictures for the doctors. Those operators have different worries and demands. They want to have a device that works smoothly, that is ergonomically good for them, so that they do not have to maybe bow their spines in a very negative way. But also, X-ray is dangerous. So those operators take a lot care not to be contaminated from X-ray emissions. So they are interested in having a safe device that is ergonomically designed and it's good for them and their patients, which is a completely different demand or need than maybe have the medical doctors. And then we have the third big group in a hospital, which is the hospital administration. And the hospital administration, these are the ones who are buying the product, who are paying for it. And they are taking care of a good quality, a good brand, maybe a nice warranty, a very good financing option, maybe a leasing concept so that they can get a new device 5 years after having the first one, being able to trade it in, and so on. The hospital administration in Austria, we have many government hospitals, is also connected to the government. So the government might have, again, different needs and demands. They might ask for a special brand because this is a company which is located in the area and they want to support their own company rather than a company from another country. Local sourcing, they call that. Or they have consortia of different companies where they have vested interest in supporting them. So what you see from this little example is that marketing an X-ray means marketing the same product to 3 completely different groups. And we have to have arguments for all of them. And sometimes these arguments are contradictory, as the medical doctors may not care too much for the money invested because they only want the best product. And if the best product is the most expensive, they would go for it. Versus the hospital administration says, no, let's take care, come on. We have a certain budget, so we cannot afford the best one. What is the second best? And the operators have their word when they say, but please organize or buy something that is safe for me and for my patients and for my spine, right? So marketing of such products has to be very, very fine in considering what is important to which group, because altogether they make the final decision. And the last point on that, when they make the decision, so the doctors, the hospital administration, and the nurses or operators, you will be not present. You are excluded as the seller. So they make the decision alone, and then they let you know whether they have decided for you or for your competitor. What does that mean? As a marketing person, you have to select one of those three groups, the administrators, the operators, or the doctors, to be completely on your side. So you have to create trust among at least one of those stakeholders, because they will be the ones who speak for you later when they decide without you about taking your offering or accepting the offering of your competitor. What comes to your mind if you see this picture, ladies and gentlemen? What does this lady with the backpack have in this gentleman? Trust. Trust for marketers is an essential variable in complex buying situations, like when it comes to selling medical equipment or technologies. This is what we marketing people have to work on. We have to increase the trust of the many, go back one slide, stakeholders that all play a role when it comes to buying, let's say, an X-ray device. Trust is the belief in a probability that a person will behave in a certain way. In marketing, that means we have to do exactly those things that create trust on the other side, that create the trust of our customers, the belief in the likelihood that my company, as the selling company of this X-ray, will be the best solution for me. That's what we have to do. And I would like to move into just a few operational marketing activities. So we are not on strategy anymore, we are in the operations that might help us to create this trust. I found three. Number one, marketing in medical business has to focus on content marketing. Our customers that buy our X-rays and our prosthetics and our other devices, they are not interested in advertising slogans. They need knowledge. They need facts. So we have to very early develop those touch points, and fortunately we have technology, we have the internet, and we have digitalization. We can develop those digital touch points to the medical professionals and provide them with content which is relevant, trustworthy, and has a high informational value. That's what we have to do in order to create their trust. Because only this is the foundation of a customer trust base, where then our salespeople can jump in and refer to what has been already said by our company content-wise. Only then our customers will accept our salespeople that join them in their offices and try to sell them their medical devices. Also, in medical technology, we have taboo topics, still some taboo topics like cancer. Nobody likes to talk about cancer treatment, mental illnesses. with content marketing in a depersonalized form through the internet, we can raise attention for those taboo topics and prepare the ground for our salespeople later. So content marketing is one of those trust creating measures that we have in medical business. The other one is what we can call key opinion leadership. A key opinion leader is a person who in private life, when it comes to consumer goods, we would call an influencer. Yeah, you all know what an influencer is. Influencers are people who we trust in and who use consumer products and present them and show them, and then we buy. Because the influencer shows us that this is good and that it works. We do not use classical influencers in medical business, but we use key opinion leaders. We have to find those experts, those chief physicians, or those leading scientists whom we explain our products and who help us later to influence and positively influence the perception about our products in the field. Because they assess their products, they assess the forms of treatments which we recommend. And this strategy takes advantage of the fact that many medical professionals place a lot of trust on the opinions of colleagues and such scientific opinion leaders when they make decisions. They trust in what other experts tell them. Expert leadership is a very important driver of trust in medical business. And the last one is omnichannel marketing and consideration of the customer journey. Marketing people in medical business or medical equipment are well advised if they understand the needs of the customer along the journey that they take from complete ignorance of a product until purchase and loyalty towards the product. And what we have to do is to link digital channels with activities on traditional channels. Ultimately, selling an X-ray is a people-to-people business at the end of the transaction, when it comes to negotiations, when it comes to testing the system, when it comes to explaining the system. But before this phase, other channels have to be used to create awareness, to create liking, to get an understanding of the different alternatives that exist. That has to be, I call it like preparing the soil, preparing the ground, before then the people who are dealing with this business are jumping in and are actually doing the selling procedures. And that has to be choreographed. That has to be, that's like a concert with multiple musicians. No? That needs to be a consistent series of touch points, one after the other, well placed, with ultimately increasing the trust of the potential supplier at the end. That's 3 arguments towards operational marketing in medical business. Let me move to a last point of my presentation, and that's about ethics. I show you again our 6 centers of excellence, and all of them include ethical considerations. In logistics, for instance, if we optimize the supply chains for our customers and companies, do we maybe exploit certain members in the supply chain? Do we exploit the last member in the supply chains, maybe the ones that are cultivating the forest or producing the grain that we later use then? Yeah. So are we ethically profound when it comes to optimizing supply chains? Do we consider also the weak points or energy? Do we consider environmental issues when it comes to battery production? Do we understand that maybe the rare earths and the materials that are used for batteries have to be produced somewhere? Do we consider that we have customers or suppliers in the supply chain that are pursuing with ethical considerations and principles? Or in food technology, we have a large research area in food technology and nutrition. Do we consider that we direct our research into the production of healthy rather than of unhealthy convenience food? Maybe convenience food would yield more returns for us, more profits, but is this ethical? Shouldn't we direct our research more towards healthy food, even though if the contribution margins are smaller? Or in smart production, if we introduce robotic systems into our factories, smooth automatization, what about the unemployment that we maybe create? If people lose their jobs because we have robots, that's an ethical consideration. Or in automotive mobility, pollution, traffic. Do we have these things in mind? And lastly, in medical engineering, do we consider a possible unequal treatment of different groups, of underprivileged groups, because we focus on expensive technology, we focus on high-level products, which some groups might not be able to afford? These are ethical considerations. And as the two last slides, I would give you a very brief insight into how I am dealing with these questions together with my students. There is a very nice case study, and feel free to, you find it on the Case Center platform, which you can use, faculty, with your students or use students. What you see here is a GE product, General Electrics. It's a baby warmer. It's a product that is used for infants in the first couple of weeks of their life, if they are born too early, to keep them warm and cozy. So to increase the likelihood that they stay healthy. And you see this product, which is a very expensive product. It's a technically advanced and perfect product, but it's very expensive. And now I'm asking my students, if in India, for instance, we have a huge group of people and hospitals and healthcare institutions who cannot afford these expensive baby warmers, should GE Healthcare also develop cheaper solutions for those customers that do not have the funding and the money to buy the technically advanced products? Should they do this, or should they rather stay with their high-tech products and stating it's none of our business to produce cheap solutions for low-resource business customers? And that is something we can discuss with the students. Yeah? What you see here on my second but last slide, there are a lot of pros and cons for GE for this decision. Of course, there are arguments in favor of producing an economically cheaper solution for those low-resource business customers, because it's a huge potential. Government is supporting. If GE does not do it, maybe others are doing it, so they lose competitive advantage. Or maybe they have also something like a corporate social responsibility. As GE, General Electrics, we have to do something about the social issues that we are having. So these are all arguments in favor. But of course, we have arguments against. So GE could say, it is not the core business of us. We are the ones that make the best solutions, and maybe we leave it to other companies to make the economic solution. So it's none of our business. Or secondly, they might argue that the profits will be very low if they have a cheaper solution. The margins are smaller. So what what does that mean then for the overall performance of the company? If the profits are low, the company does not have enough funds maybe to go into further consideration and better products in the future. So in the long run, it might harm the company and their patients and customers if they go into that direction. Or maybe we simply say, if the company does sell their products to every target group, they will not be able to keep their own focus. And at the end, they will maybe go bankrupt and nobody has a benefit from that. Yeah? So, dear students, it is very important for you to always see both sides and to have an ethical framework in your mind that helps you to deal with these questions. I cannot answer this question for you. I cannot answer what GE should do, whether they should go or not. But you maybe will be later in the situation that you have to make a decision. And then you should base it on, of course, technical, economical, but also ethical principles, shaping your decision to do either that or that. Let me conclude. I said in the beginning that customers of medical products share similarities with other customers, but there are also significant differences that we have to take into account. We should understand that the buying processes and also the buying center, which is the group of people who together make the decision about whether to buy your product or not, are complex when it comes to medical equipment decisions. We discussed about the very important variable of trust, especially in medical engineering products. We understood that marketing operations for medical businesses may borrow from traditional marketing. Just take the example of the influencers. However, the specifics of the medical business have to be considered. And ultimately, ethical considerations play an important role, and a solid ethical and governance standard of our companies later are pivotal for long-lasting relationships between medical equipment producers and their customers. Thank you very much for listening to me. I hope I could give you a little introduction of how marketing in medical businesses can work, what we can learn from others, and what we have to think differently. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Professor Andreas. It is such a fascinating. I'm not a marketing guy, but I still could understand like what exactly the sellers or the producers and from the organization's point of view, how they can interact and how a successful transaction could occur. There are different ways to look at things and different perspectives that needs to take into account. It got clear to me.
Right.
Here the students also does the students has few questions? No?
Any questions? Yes,
Yeah.
please, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
You said there are differences between a patient and a customer, and that is obviously true. So how would you treat each? Like, how would you treat a patient different than how you would treat a customer?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. Thank you very much. Sorry? Oh, I see a certificate. Thank you. That's very nice of you. Yes, so the patients are the final consumers. They are the ones who buy the products for their personal use. That means on the one hand side, they take the full risk of making a wrong decision. On the other side, they do not harm anybody else except themselves, right? So this is a fundamental difference. If a hospital buys an X-ray equipment, if they make a wrong decision, many other people can be harmed by making this wrong decision. And if a private person, a final consumer, buys a medicine, he or she is actually, and it's sad enough if they are harmed and if they suffer, but it's their own risk that they are taking. So the difference is that the risk of making a wrong decision is higher if you spend other people's money and if you decide on behalf of other people. The problem with the private consumers when it comes to health technology is that the literacy and the knowledge and the understanding of the potential harmful consequences of these products might be limited because they cannot discuss and share the knowledge with others. In the B2B setting, when companies buy from other companies, they have the possibility to collect intellectual capabilities. They find a person who has the technical knowledge, they find a person who has the commercial knowledge, they maybe find a person who has the legal knowledge, and they find a person who has the safety or the regulations knowledge. Yeah, so that's the difference. So it's easier and at the same time harder to sell products to businesses rather than to final consumers. And this is a fundamental difference between consumer and business-to-business marketing, where we have to understand that the levels that we can expect are different, the outcome is different, the risk-taking is different, and the potential harm of smaller or larger groups is very much different. And this is what we have to study. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I could see in the chat box there is one question pending from someone named Tumbegru. Can you?
Yeah, good afternoon, Professor. Good afternoon, Professor. It was a fantastic presentation highlighting various marketing aspects. My question is towards you mentioned 3 to 4 points when you're marketing products to the to B2B or any consumer. That is, you said about content marketing and also. In case, what are the points you could highlight when you're marketing the hospital services to the patient? What exactly we should be taking care of? So could you please enlighten us in those areas?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you mean then from the hospital towards the patient, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is not exactly my territory, but I got this question a couple of times. I guess what we have to discuss first is what is a patient for a hospital? Is a patient really a customer of a hospital? Because only if we see a patient as a customer of a hospital, then we can argue whether we use marketing tools from the hospital towards the patient. And to be very honest, I doubt that the patient in a hospital can be seen as a customer. Maybe with the exception of planned treatments, maybe in the aesthetical area of medicine. But when it comes to healthcare, the patient, I would not treat as a customer of the hospital. Because the relationship between what I give and I take is not balanced. A patient who needs to go to the hospital does not go there voluntarily, which is, however, the case of a customer. If I buy a can of Coke, I do this voluntarily. And if I say I don't buy this can of Coke now, I buy it tomorrow, I can decide for that. A patient has rarely the chance to decide, I go to the hospital, and if I don't like to go today, I go the next day, or I go on holiday instead, right? So there is no free choice. And hence, I'm very careful in treating a patient as a customer of a hospital. And so I would argue that the principles of marketing are not very much applicable in this relationship between a hospital and a medical doctor and his or her patient. I don't know.
I agree.
Agree with that.
I agree totally with you, because what happens is most of the people, they, normally make their, marketing campaigns, which is targeted to patients. But actually, you should be targeting to people who really need your services, because, the person becomes a patient after he enters the hospital. Till then, he's not a patient.
Exactly. Yeah. And a hospital treatment is an emergency product, and an emergency product is needed when a case of emergency is happening. So it is not that much of a free choice than whether you can decide whether to buy a watch or to go on a holiday trip or to go to restaurant A or restaurant B. The principles are different, I would argue, but it's not exactly my territory. Yeah.
Andreas, I have a comment. I thank you very much. I've listened very carefully to all what you have said. And there are two things. First, I find that what the points are, which you have highlighted them, starting from assessing the needs and the issue of trust and ethical issues and how to develop this relation. I find them, they are very much applicable to the relation between a doctor or a surgeon and the patient. They are very similar. Because that's one, and I will explain it in a second. The second thing is when you talk about some principle in marketing, everything depends on the context and the culture and the system. So in a country or where medical services are paid by almost 100% by insurance, is different in another context where the patient is paying one way or another. So the context will influence the strategy of marketing and the system and the culture and the behavior.
True.
But particularly, this is what we do when we interact with a patient. We develop a relation. We identify their needs and priorities. We try to customize what we are going to provide them according to their needs. And while taking very important is how to develop this trust, which is key in the relation with the doctor. And I think this is, it usually comes by interacting with the product or with the marketing person or with the service provider for some times, and and then the ethical issues in the practice. So how to be honest, how to come and say, maybe this treatment is not the only treatment, but there is another one which is cheaper and perhaps it will produce the same thing. So I can see the relation between the two, but I emphasize the 2 points which you have highlighted them in your in marketing, the trust and the ethical issues related to it. So these are very important points. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And
Okay.
I fully agree.
I have sorry.
Sorry, yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
There is one more hand is raised. I think Dr. Misra want to ask the question.
Please.
Actually, very nice presentation, Doctor. There is a very big concern these days, actually, that is about irresponsible use of technologies in healthcare. And that is actually resulting in healthcare inflation, which is the bigger concern in many countries like US and of course some part of Europe also. So they are suggesting about health technology assessment before including any technology into healthcare system. Now that is going to further delay go to market time for a company, and that can actually affect the profitability, and that can eventually kill the innovation again, which is again falling in medical technology. So how to solve this catch-22 situation, and who should be the person, means medical technology company or government, who should act in, how to solve that? Any insight on that?
Well, actually, I cannot answer this question. I can only agree with you that this is a serious and very important question. And what we see is that it is currently solved in a couple of different ways. It is always in different countries. Then again, it's always the question whether medical treatment is a kind of a greater good, or whether it can be seen as a product or service that can be regulated by the market alone. And we see in many European countries that governments strongly intervene because they see health of their population as a greater good, and say we cannot leave this to the companies, which in turn has not only positive effects, because the companies then might lack of motivation towards doing the very best. On the other side, we see countries where health care and health as a good is more left to the market, with an understanding of that multiple competitors exist, and then they will, driven by their own interest, strive for the best. This is a question that I do not have an answer, and I would never give an answer that the one is better or the other one is better. Most likely, it will at the end be a joint consideration of both the government giving regulations and rules, but allowing the businesses to work in a fruitful and competitive environment in order to produce the best solutions for the patient ultimately. Yeah. That's a tricky question, and that not only holds for health. However, we have seen in the last couple of years what was happening. If a tremendous health issue is almost destroying the world, yeah, and then we learned a lot how businesses as well as government had different intervention schemes in order to cure that. Yeah, but I would not dare to say the ones are right or the others are right.
Thank you.
Hi, Professor Andreas. Thank you so much. So on behalf of my colleagues from College of Healthcare Management and Economics, Gulf Medical University, my students, we all are very thankful to you for your time and sharing your experience and knowledge with us. So thank you so much. I'm the one who teach marketing to students of our bachelor and master program. We have also seen the landscape changing very, very dramatically, especially when it comes to have the strategic sales in B2B, or it is virtual sale, or the way MedTech have changed all the scenario, perception have changed, consumers' knowledge landscape have changed, and so many things, unlike any other marketing practices, have changed in the recent world.
Absolutely.
Thank you so very much. And we are looking forward to many more corporations together, working together. And we are very excited. You can see that the students have enjoyed the presentation. So thank you so much, and looking forward to more interactions in the future. Thank you. We have
Thank you very much.
we have a
It's
small
great pleasure.
token of appreciation that you have shared, so we would like to formally acknowledge it.
Well, thank you very much. Wow.
And thank you. Thanks to our own Chancellor, Professor Hossam Hamdi, for making us link with you to explore those avenues. Thank you, Professor Hossam Hamdi, for your kind cooperation and linking us to Professor Andreas. You can see the hooting in the room.
Thank you, Dr. Rana, and thank you, Andreas. And I think the College of Healthcare Management and Health Economics should continue establish this relation at the postgraduate level, at the undergraduate level, and maybe with other of your colleagues in the business faculty, in economics, or in other areas. And I am sure, particularly in the business, they can establish this relation. You have said something very interesting at the beginning, and this is for our students, whether in the undergraduate or in the postgraduates. Professor Andreas has indicated that possible you could travel to the beautiful country there in Austria and maybe get some electives there, or some work experience in some of the factories which are around them, the business companies, and that would be fantastic. And I think the college can work on that, and we can further develop it while we are building the official relation between the two institutions. Yes. So thank you very much. And Austria, it is beautiful all the year round. If you go into the summer, you will enjoy the nice weather, the mountains, the lakes, and all this beauty there. And of course, if you go into the winter, the ski, and it's wonderful. Anyways, thank you, and I really appreciated Andreas, and looking forward to our next meeting soon.
Thank you very much. It was my great pleasure, and hoping to meet you very soon again. And the invitation is open to all your students, faculty members. Come to our place. We will organize events for you. You will have the opportunity to see the companies, the classes. We will do research together. We are very open, and we are very hopeful that we have a great cooperation between the two institutions. Thank you very much. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.